It's really out there. A lot of us are realizing the symbolisms. A lot of us are realizing the secret societies. I've probably read way too many books for my own good. I found a bunch of amazing books, a lot of different things that is available to everybody, by the way. Some of those workshops are like Ashana Dean, Bashar, Barbara, and many, many more. Let's start. Symbolism's been around for a long time. The first thing is realizing that there is symbolism happening. Symbolism has been passed down for many, many generations, and it's been a little changed over time, but it's all the same thing at the end of the day, depending on the religion, depending on the society, depending on the cult, depending on the coven, depending on all of that. Depends on what symbolisms they use. We have people that are really huge in symbolism. Like Hollywood is obviously a big part in wanting to spread their symbolism. There's a lot of occultism in Hollywood. A lot of us know that. You have concerts that have a ton of symbolism. You have a ton of celebrities that are a part of that are a part of wanting to promote that symbolism. Even though if some of them aren't really fully understanding of even what they're doing, at the end of the day, they are puppets, and they are puppets to whatever they have decided to give them that leeway to give them that way. There's symbolism in our money, right? You have the dollar sign. The dollar sign got a big old eyeball on it to let you know right there, These aren't random things. These are things that have been put in place. The American society, a lot of these societies all around the world, it's not just America, have been created off the back of occultism. It's hard for some people to understand that because they might feel like, hey, you're reaching. It's really not a reach. It's right there in your face. You either see it or you don't, and if you don't want to see it, that's fine. And if you see it, that is can open a door for you to be able to maneuver around these things much more easily and not fall into this agenda that's being pushed on everybody right now. Whether it's these buildings that are even promoting Hollywood structures, a lot of these late night TV shows, some movies and things like that, they have been held in actual temples that are for different religious purposes that a lot of us don't even know about, and then we're thinking, oh, it's not a big deal. I mean, they're promoting these things right in your face and making you a part of it without you even realizing it. So it is kind of a big deal because you are energy, and your spiritual energy is being used, it's being played, and it's up to you to decide where you want to put your energy towards. Symbolism is very important to realize those things, realize the signs. And not that I'm saying that just because one person covered their eyeball means exactly that they're in something. No, sometimes it's literally the industry behind it that's trying to push these things, trying to push these images, confusing people. If you're a celebrity at that level and you've decided to cover your eyeball knowing that there's a huge controversy behind that or whatever, I mean, come on, like, why are you even playing that game with people? If you are true to God, you're true to God, and you wouldn't be playing a game like that. But that's what some of them do. That's why they're puppets, and that's why the system keeps going, because these people are just about their money and about keeping it moving and keeping us blinded. Realize where the symbolism is at, and you are not blinded, and then you're not following false gods, false prophets, false things that it's been put into place to have your energy distracted towards those things. These teachings, where do they come from? This symbolism, where does it come from? It comes back from generations. Actually, this goes back to, as I mentioned earlier, Ashana Dean. She talks about space history. This actually comes back from way back in the time. We're going to take it even before this chart. It goes back all the way into space history. So we're talking about millions, if not billions of years ago, when everything was first created in our time matrix. Not like literally from God to everything, but just when God was working on our time matrix in our blueprint. And energy came into our blueprint, which is what we know as Lucifer, Baal, Baphomet, Illuminati, Metatron. Those are all terms that are for that type of energy. So that energy had made its way into our time matrix, and it seeped like a virus. It went through our matrix like a virus. That information, that energy seeped into ancient religion, and that is where we're getting to at the top of the chart. That's the epitome of it all, right? That ancient religion. But the ancient religion itself was already a little manipulated because it came in manipulated. That religion, that ancient religion, that's pretty much where what Babylon was studying, what Egypt was studying, what Greece was studying, and all these other ancient places, right? That's why they were major societies. Look at America. We're literally that. We are the epitome of Greece. We are pretty much what Egypt was when it was Egypt and all these things. Now it's, instead of those, we're the modernized version. That's all that's happening. So all this occultic information has now made its way here, and it's taking a run through it. It's taking a run through our media and everything, because we've pretty much allowed it to over the years, for people blindly continuing to go through their day-to-day basis and not paying attention to the symbolism that was creating all of this. But now we're working on it, and that's what matters, and we'll get into that too. It starts from ancient religion. From ancient religion, it breaks down, and it continued to break down over the centuries into other groups. It's changed its names, but it's still the same thing at the end of the day. From ancient religion, we have like Kabbalism, we have Nazism. From Nazism, we have Knights Templar. From Knights Templar, we have Rosicrucians. From Rosicrucians, we have Freemasons, Illuminati. All of this it was just a growth of pretty much the same thing. It just got changed its name over time. Different things were added, different symbolism was added, but it all stemmed from the same ancient religion. And that, like I said, has creeped its way to America now. This is not anything new, though. This has been going on for a long time. We're just realizing the signs much easier now, because we are in modern times where everybody has a phone, everybody has a computer, everybody has YouTube, everybody has these access to these things where they're like, wait a minute, I'm not just realizing, you're realizing it, he's realizing it, she's realizing it, everybody's starting to realize it, and it's for a reason. In the ancient religion, they had a bunch of information, a bunch of beginning scriptures, so to say, right, where it all pretty much started. And that information began to be withheld from your regular everyday citizen, and that's how these secret societies started to get born. They believed that they have this ancient religion and all this ancient information, and that made them better, and they were the ones prone to this knowledge, and nobody else could be aware of this knowledge because they wouldn't know what to do with this knowledge and all this nonsense. And really, it was like that was open to everybody. They just decided to gatekeep that information. It is gatekeeped information. That is it. And some of this information isn't even actual facts. These are just, a lot of this stuff is stories that people wrote, that were writers at the time, and they had creative minds, such as Harry Potter. You take Harry Potter and you have it in a bunch of books and leave it there collecting dust for thousands of years, and let's say like a civilization in the future comes across these Harry Potter books, not knowing it's just an author's book, and they read it and they're like, oh my God, everybody was like, did you read this? Like, everybody was living in this place called Hogwarts, and it's not, so it's one of those things. Like, so they had come across a lot of ancient scriptures, a lot of ancient books, a lot of ancient stories, and they have kept it for themselves. Some generational families have kept it from themselves. Some secret societies kept it from themselves. Some religions like Christianity, Catholicism, all these, they have kept certain information for themselves. Vatican, all those things, it all plays a part. So I found this quote really interesting. This speaks about the Bible, the King James Bible, which is the Bible that was one of the most biggest recent changes in the 1800s, which is now the main Christian Bible. And it talks about how people believe it was just one single author, Richard Bancroft, and that's not the case. There were actually about 47 different writers in the 1800s that decided to dibble dabble in the Bible and write what they wanted to write, and they weren't edited on top. Like, it wasn't like one writer would write and be like, hey, can you proofread this? Like, no, it was like, oh, that's your story, I ain't touching it, check out my story, this is what I'm putting in. Some of them could have been from actual experiences, and some of them could have just, it was said that some of them were just writing to write because they are writers, and they were writing inspirational things or what they would feel would fit into the Bible, or from their studies, from what they've come across. So you had all kinds of people writing in this. There were about 47 different clergymen that decided to write in the Bible. So that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And it's called the King James Bible, and King James didn't even write it. All he wanted was to make sure it was in his honor, and that whatever fit in there felt like it was good enough for him, and that it was, again, an honor to him. So, yeah. I'm gonna go to the next slide. The secret society evolution. What's going on? Some people are in these groups nowadays and, you know, they really feel like they're a part of something secret. They're a part of something special, and really, like, this information can be found anywhere. Like, you don't even need to be in these groups to get a hold of this information. A lot of this stuff is literally available to the public or online if you just look for it and take your time to look for it. And when you start reading these things, there are a lot of really interesting things. These are a couple of books that I've come across and dibble-dabbled in and read and just curious. The way these secret societies began to have like an evolution is either you were born into it or you can be initiated into it. So if you're born into it, that's obviously like your mom gave birth to you and your mother and your father were already a part of occultism and they brought you in, they initiated you, whether it was from when you were little or when you got older, but somewhere in between. You had been initiated and they began to teach you teachings. Some people are initiated from birth, like from babies. Some people are initiated while in the womb of the mother. This is real. They will initiate a child in the womb just to try to make it the best secret society member they can possibly make it for that group. An example of that would be like the Illuminati. The Illuminati have done that where they're making these warriors from babies, and while the baby's in the womb, there's stories of electroshock therapy happening to the baby while in the womb and everything, because they are so focused on trying to make the perfect members for their groups. Or you can have an initiate, but an initiate will only go so far because sometimes these initiates, they get into these groups without realizing what they've really joined. And as time goes, they realize stuff is a little funky and information's being like twisted, and truly they know something's twisted, and they end up leaving. Or some of them just kind of continue with it thinking like, no, it can't really. Some of them like it and they're all for it, don't get me wrong, but some of them blindly continue to walk through all these steps without realizing truly what they are about to walk into. And once you have got to a certain level, it's very difficult to step out and just walk out of that. So it can be a dangerous situation for some, and that's why we got to be wary of these symbolisms and these wordings and the way these people are speaking and what they're choosing to say, especially if you're joining something. I mean, what truly are you joining? As they say, you should not be joining anything because the only person you should be worshiping is God, nothing else. So the way it works for initiates, or even if you're born into it, you gain more knowledge as you go. The more you prove yourself loyal to your group, then the more information they will give you, and you'll feel more and more special every single time because they're going to tell you you're special or all these things. And you continue because they may give you a new book with something extra new in it or whatever. But again, these are books that are available to everybody, or like information that's available and ancient scriptures that are available. And there's just so much out there already. But some people feel like they need to belong to something, and this is kind of the result you get from that. And are also, again, the ones that are born into it. Some of them literally want to leave, but you're literally born into it. I mean, your mom and your dad and your family's all a part of it, aunts, uncles. So it's very hard to just be like, all right, deuces, I'm out when you're a kid. But God has mechanisms in place for a situation like that. So don't think if you are caught up in a situation like that, like you can't come back to God. You can always come back to God. God's always been there. He's never left. It's a matter of you using your free will to shift your focus solely back to God. As I read through a lot of these books and watched some of these stuffs and like watched all these videos, and just as I kept learning and everything, I kind of started realizing a lot of these societies have similar beliefs. They just have different symbolism. Some of them think they're more superior than the other, but at the end of the day, it's all kind of, it's the same beliefs. It's just got scattered information in different ones, but they kind of all play a big part together. And I thought that was pretty interesting, just throwing that out there. Some great books that I've read is Volley Speaks. That book is pretty intense, but it has some very interesting information. She was born into an Illuminati family, and that's all she knew until she finally was able to escape with her husband and her children when she was about, I think it was her 30s, from what I remember. Very interesting. She has a lot of information about her book about how that works. History of Secret Societies is a great book. It breaks down a lot of different secret societies that have always been around for centuries. Again, it's just changed itself over time. You have the Bloodline of Illuminati books. You have the Masonry books. This book, The Genius of Freemasonry, that was pretty interesting. I got pretty deep into that book. I was just curious. This book is somebody that was a master Mason and is upset with new incoming Masons because he's realizing like these people don't know the truth of what they're really following. So would they really fight for the Masons when they finally figure out what they're truly fighting for? So wow, that book, I mean, it talks about all kinds of stuff. I don't want to get into it because I know some people that practice all these kind of different things, and I'm not trying to offend anybody. I am just letting you guys know that this all stems from this. It stems from somewhere else, and it's up to you to realize that. And if you're doing your thing, you're doing your thing. But there are a lot of things that are in between the line with this stuff, with these cults, with these covens, with these religions. There's a lot of things that are in between the lines that if you do not catch on, you will catch yourself in a sticky situation with some of these things. What are initiates? Initiates, like we mentioned earlier, are people that are either born into it or have did a process to become a part of it. Sometimes the process does not end. It's levels to everything. When you pass one thing, they give you the next thing. You pass the next thing. Like there's levels to it, right? And every time you do these levels, you gain more and more information. So things that are considered to be like initiates, or that could be initiates. So you have your bloodline initiates, the ones that have been bringing this on from generations. You have your celebrities that want higher fame. They have been initiated. If you were talking about A-list actors or even some B-list actors, sometimes they're seasoned D-list actors that are in this category as well, that they're deep in the sauce. Like they really are all about, that's why their music videos show this, their movies are about it, all these things. It's not a coincidence. They literally represent these things and they talk about it. There's tons of interviews out there about this. This is not nothing new. There's lots of actors that talk about how they take in this type of energy so they can play these roles, and then it's hard for them to take this energy back out because now that energy took them over. I mean, they're literally talking about like possession and stuff. And
Actor Denzel Washington told 60 Minutes exactly how he brings forth his best performances.
Basically what I did was got on my knees and sort of communicated with the spirits. And when I came out, I was in charge.
Powerful scene.
Powerful scene. I couldn't have acted that. I couldn't have written that down and made a decision to play that.
The most familiar face on television says,
"You can not only use your body and physical self. This is how I see acting. I ask my body to be the carrier for the spirits of those who have come before me in a way that is most meaningful to the character. Just become the vehicle for that character."
Calling out for these entities to take her over so that she may become a sparkling puppet, Oprah admits of her work before the camera.
I tried to empty myself and let the spirit inhabit me.
With her global influence, her shows have become a smorgasbord for the New Age agenda.
If you're a follower of God, then why would you be promoting that? And that's where we need to, and you can't say, oh, it's because that's their job. Or, like, come on. You can take all kinds of roles at that point, You can take any kind. There's so many directors out there that aren't even about occultism. So there's other ways, there's other options, but they choose to take these steps because they want the super, super fame. And again, I mean, like they say, it's selling your soul. You're selling your soul to the media. You're selling your soul to have the money, have the fame, and so a lot of these celebrities are initiated. This topic will be a little heavier, but there are babies that are born primarily for ritual purposes. They will breed babies just to have babies for ritual purposes, and that's like, sounds insane, but it's happened. There's even been the Cabbage Patch theory where they're having these babies bred and anybody can buy them. It's not like an adoption process. It's whole different. Look back in the, I think it was 1700s. I'm going to post a video here. It's by Mind Unveiled. Amazing video about the Cabbage Patch theory. And he goes really deep into it. It goes very deep, you guys. Like there's literally baby factories that are producing babies for people to purchase, and you can purchase them for whatever reason you choose to, and it's between you and just this factory, and that's it. And like the government doesn't get involved because they're getting a pretty penny out of it, of course, right? You have men, or your regular man or your regular woman, that can become an initiate. Public services, you have police officers that are initiates, FBI agents, CIA, daycare workers, school teachers and principals, have CPS, foster care. You have a bunch of these public services that have a bunch of initiates within them. So it's very good to know symbolism and to realize these things to make sure what you're dealing with, right? Because not all of them are. I'm not saying every single police officer or every single FBI agent. I'm not saying that. A lot of them are good people that don't know what's even happening. It's up to you to realize the symbolism and decide how do you want to handle it. And it's not that you handle it with aggression or anything. It's, if anything, it's with love and care, because they're in a spot where that's what they chose to do and they used their free will for it. And we can't be judgmental of that. It's more about evolution and growth, and maybe helping that person over time realize they don't need to be a part of those things. And that's how we can heal. Cults, gangs, and covens. Literally, all of those are initiates. Cults, you got initiate. People get initiated into that, right? Gangs, definitely. They're over here beating people up, throwing gang signs. It's all the same thing. It's all symbolism. It all has initiates. Covens, women that get together and they're witches and all these things. That's all initiates. These covens have initiates. All of this stuff. They're initiated people. They are brought in and then they're told, like, you can be a part of this group if you do these things. Okay. Popes, bishops, and churches. That might be hard for some people, but it is true. Popes, bishops, and churches. I'm not saying every single bishop, I'm not saying every single priest or every single pope is like literally out there to get you. I'm not saying that. There are a lot of amazing people out there, but a lot of these people are initiates to other religions, to other things, but they're playing people by having their cake and eating it too. They're pretending to be one person while actually doing the total opposite. And that's happening heavy. Vatican, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff out there. I don't even need to really go deep into that, because just with a couple of Google searches, a couple of video watches of YouTube, of documentaries and things, it's right there. It's blatantly in your face. All the symbolism is there. Thou shalt not make to thyself any graven image, nor the likeness of anything that is in heaven above. Thou shalt not bow down to them, nor worship them. It is very important to not bow down to any group or to anybody that is not God himself, right? That is where the trick is at, but that is where it's like, it's up to you. It is up to you to use the things you see, with the symbolisms you see, the things you hear. That is why God gave you eyes to see, ears to hear, to realize these things. It is not up to him to come down and tell you. It is you. You know what's right from wrong. You know what you should be following and what you shouldn't be following. Again, it's your free will. If you want to follow something, go for it. Like, that's your mission. That's what you want to do. That's your business. But if you're looking at it in an ascension process, if you're looking at it from an Earth's evolution process, it is very important then you get your ducks in a row and know what is right from wrong and take the steps for that, because becoming the best you is what will get you closer to God, nothing else. So societies have been converting pretty much. All this, like we showed earlier, is like this huge layers of the same thing, right? It starts from ancient religion broke itself down or whatnot, but at the end of the day, these societies are converting. They are converting, and they are trying to make it a world order. Doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. Doesn't mean it's going to happen this year, next year. I mean, who knows? These people have been trying to do this for a very long time. This is not anything new. That was the whole point of dollars and money and all of this. Like, they have been trying to create that. And that's what's happening. These people are literally occultists. These people in these programs, in these groups, they are occultists. When you are at a high rank and you're working for like the WEF, so to say, get it in your head. Like, these people do not care for the better of humanity in the sense of our spiritual energy with God. All they care about is their version of God and their version of humanity and their version of society. I found this quote from their website, which I think was very interesting. It says, "The World Economic Forum is the international organization for public-private cooperation. It provides a global, impartial, and non-for-profit platform for meaningful connection between stakeholders to establish trust and build initiatives for cooperation and progress." They're literally telling you right there, they're trying to build initiates for progress. This goes over a lot of people's heads. They're like, they're just thinking like, this company wants what's best. A lot of people are realizing now, don't get me wrong, a lot of people are realizing that this is all like a load of crap, because it is a load of crap. It's just all about building initiates, and they're trying to push that through the media and everything. They're trying to build initiates and make us be okay with certain things by manipulating things, by propaganda, by all these things, by the media, by everything. They're just manipulating it all to get us to believe what they need us to believe to make their one world happen. It will not happen as long as people are not conforming to this. We have that free will to not conform to this. For instance, like that movie Prince of Egypt, where you have all these people, all these slaves that were in Egypt. Moses realizes he wasn't royalty, he was actually a Hebrew. So when he realizes that, at first it was a shock for him, but after all of that, he realized, okay, I need to save the people. I need to help the people. Because of all of them got together and they decided, we're not going to do this. We're not going to build Egypt. They all leave and become free. It's this like pretty much the same thing. We have the right as a group, as consciousness here on earth to make that decision, to not abide by these, to not abide by this, to not pay mind to this, because what are they going to do when we're not going by their all their new holidays they're creating, all the new events they're trying to make up? I mean, all these holidays, all of this, it's all a big, like, it's been built up over the centuries. We have been a heavily brainwashed planet, not just America, like the planet. We are heavily brainwashed, and it is time that people are now stepping out and realizing and getting out of the brainwash. We are slowly realizing, holy crap, we've pretty much been in a major cult all this time and nobody knew. And now we know because media, because YouTube, because this is how we are connecting. This is how we're getting the information out there. How do you know these people really don't give a crap and this is really what they're trying to do? Check this out. So this is called the Wallstone painting. This is insane. This is literally was plastered in the World Economic Forum meetings. And so the painter for this is Garrison Perry. And this was featured in the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland in 2024. It was either 2024 or 2023. This painting, it literally represents what is happening right now. You have the woman giving birth and that baby is making its way through the red lake, right? All the way down into the devil's mouth. What is in between all this, right? If we were to zoom in, you would see that there's a bunch of brand names in here. We're talking about Gucci, Prada, things like Walmart, all this stuff, Target, I mean, everything. There's a bunch of branding in here. This figure in the middle that he said is supposed to represent like a Madonna. That was his inspo there for that. Well, there's that. You can see there's just a lot going on in here. When you get the chance, take your time and look through this. But the point is you see the child come out of the woman. It's following down the path of pretty much what they've laid out for us, and it goes right into the devil's mouth. These people aren't stupid. They literally put this in their meeting on purpose. Like, because they're elites in there pretty much, and then we're the peasants to them, and it's like, this is the machine we've created for them, and this is what they'll go through. And that's where they're wrong, because you have a right in your free will to choose where you go through. You don't have to be paying attention to their branding machine, to their machine they've created on here. And that is the point. So it's not to show you this to scare you or to make you uncomfortable. This is where these people's minds are at, and this is what they promote, and this is blatantly out there. This is not the only thing. There's tons of stuff. There's tons. Just look into it. You'll find all kinds of stuff. Shattered Paradise did an amazing piece, even about cereal. It's crazy, but there's even propaganda on cereal. This is real, you guys. Like, they're doing anything to diminish our DNA, anything to diminish our actual true spiritual energy. And now most of us are standing now stronger than ever. And that's what they're scared about, because we're not falling for this lake of death that they've created, this river of death. Put on your full armor of God so you can take your stance against the devil's schemes. You need to be very aware of who you are, and what you stand for, and stand strong in that. That is your armor. That is your armor. And that will help you against the devil's schemes, against what is happening right now on earth. This will not change. Occultism will continue. When we pass away, it will be around. But it is up to us to start leaving the drips of knowledge for those to come, so this machine doesn't get bigger, right? Why would we want this to get bigger? We could probably change it in our lifetimes now. Who knows? But the main thing too is to begin to really discuss these things and to not be scared, so we can move forward as humanity, so we can help Earth evolve, so we can help others awaken, and we can change things. Who knows what we can change if we stand together as a unity and we decide, hey, it's not about judgment and it's not about any of these things. It's about, okay, let me get right with myself first. Let me get right with God. Let me get myself focused in what I need to do and not be distracted by this machine they've created, so I can move forward, and that will help the people around me move forward. And that is enlightenment, and that is love, and that is evolution, and that is what God is looking for. God isn't looking for us to like play into the games that are in here. He's looking for us to move as a society, as a humanity, forward towards God, to honor what he has given us here on earth, because we should be honoring what he has given us. We should be honoring ourselves. We should be honoring our families. We should be honoring the nature, all these things that are, it's amazing. It's been placed here for us, and it's meant for us to experience, and it's meant for us to learn. We are here for an ascension process. Everybody is on their own individual ascension process, but it is up to you at the end of the day to really decide if you're going to take the steps you need to take to become your best self, so you do not fall into the devil's scheme, so you do not fall for the propaganda for the media, and you can take your life in your hands again and work with God and create what you've wanted to create. And maybe it's not exactly the vision you had, but God knows best, baby. God knows best, and we can't change that. So continue to do everything you got to do to get to where you got to go, because you are the only one that can save yourself. Continue to learn, keep looking into books and workshops, check out some of the stuff I was talking about, do your own research and see what you find, right? And let's start awakening others. Much love to everybody.